Florida State remained number 4 in the AP poll. There's a team ahead of them, though, that they would have a pretty good chance to beat. So we're going to talk about the poll and what that matchup would be like, because it could actually happen in the college football playoff.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into another episode of Locked On Seminoles. I am your host, Brian Smith. Thank you for coming back again and making this a great show. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube for free. Part of the Locked On Network, your team every single day. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. It is an easy app to use. It's one that I'm very familiar with. You can find what you need in less than a minute. Download the Gametime app. Create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $20 off your first purchase. I use it for football purposes primarily. You can see your seats right from where you selected on the app, get an idea what the view is like. It could be basketball, it could be a concert, it could be just about anything. Try out the Gametime app. It is very, very cool. All right, so the Florida State Seminoles are number 4. That's what they were last week. Is it justified? Because now we're getting into that point. I'd mentioned this a couple of weeks ago for those of you saying, why do you care right now? Because it's the playoff committee poll that matters, which is true, but humans are still humans. Florida State not being number 2 or number 3 right now matters for the following. The committee can say whatever they want, that they just looked at all the data. They're human. If Florida State is 4 now, if they just kind of slide by Duke, win 24-21, whatever. If they just slide by a couple other teams, being 4 now instead of 3 could impact the committee later on in some capacity. They're going to look at these polls, even though they're going to deny it. At least most of them. Some people on the committee might admit it. I don't know. The higher up Florida State is now, the easier it's going to be for Mike Norvell and his staff, his trainers, his players, anybody that's involved with the program. Higher is better. So I'm going to go over a couple of things, just my own opinion. I'm going to get into some stats because the team right above Florida State is the one I think they should be switched, if not even a couple of spots further for that team, and that's Ohio State. We'll talk about the Buckeyes in just a second. They're good, but I think Florida State's better. And we'll also talk about a couple of other key points in regards to the poll. Some of the things that I liked in extension to the show that I did earlier today, check it out. It's the breakdown of this past game against Syracuse. What I liked the best, energy, using that all game consistently was fantastic. That's as good a performance by the Noles in a long time. But like I've said on my Facebook page and just different things with Locked On Seminoles, you can find it anywhere you get social media. Just type in Locked On Seminoles, you'll find me. The thing of it is, Florida State has now matured as a football team, and they're maximizing opportunities. And I'm not saying they're an NFL team, but they're acting more professional about how they go about their business. And that's how you win big time. That's how you become consistent. That's how you become deserving of a top 3 ranking. So without further ado, they play Duke this next week, and that's going to be Monday's episode. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Devils, just kind of their stats and stuff. I want to do another podcast for Monday. And I'm going to discuss what it's like going up against the matchups there too. But if Florida State beats Duke, in my opinion, Ohio State should be the team behind. Duke's good. I'm not sure if the committees and the different writers and all that, unless you've seen them live, and yours truly has, Duke's good up front. Like, this is by far the best Duke team I've seen in the trenches in my lifetime. I mean, they've had a few that are pretty good in the last 5 years, but they just got more beef on the D-line. They got a couple of D tackles that'll at least have a cup of coffee in the NFL, and that's not easy, man. Those are the rarest of the rare, 300 and above, and can move, can 2-gap, can 1-gap, can shoot a gap, whatever. They're a different team, and I think Florida State's going to beat them. But my question to the folks out there, will a win against Duke, let's say 10, 14 points, if you want to answer on YouTube or whatever, 10 or 14 points, does that get you to a point where people consider if Ohio State wins, I don't even know who they play, but if you beat a quality team, I mean, let's just for the heck of it say Riley Leonard plays too, the quarterback that's been banged up. He got hurt at the end of the Notre Dame game. Let's say he plays. Would Florida State truly be given credit? And that's why, and I don't know the answer to that because the Duke name, it's basketball, man. It's a basketball school. We all know it is. It's been tremendous. Fair enough. But again, these polls matter, whether you want them to or not. People are human. They're going to look at it and they're going to at least debate it, keeping Florida State down. They need to move up. 4's not bad, but if they were 2 or 3, it'd be a lot better for them long term. So with that, again, Ohio State's the team in question, and I'm just going to talk about one specific thing because I think it'd be a heck of a lot of fun. I haven't seen Ohio State live, but I know some people that are around the program, etc. And I've got the stats. You know me, I'm a stat guy. This is what they are right now, and we can talk a little bit about matchups. That would be fun as well. This is just Florida State's O against Ohio State's D. 2 elite units going head-to-head. That'd be a lot of fun. Not going to get into too many names or anything because obviously the game is hypothetical, but it really could happen in the playoff. Wouldn't be surprising if that ended up being like a 2-3 matchup or something. So I'm just going to talk about it, and it's also important for right now for rankings. So it's a little of both. Start with Florida State. Rushing average 177.3. That's 46th. Ohio State, though, 109.2. They are 23rd in the nation. So that'd be a really good matchup. Florida State's run game's picked up, so that's a little bit misleading. I think they can run against anybody when they're healthy, have Big Mo at center, etc. Passing game, 272 a game. That's 36th in the nation. Buckeyes are 4th in the nation, 154.3. But what quarterbacks have they played that have receivers? They went up against Notre Dame, but their receiving corps is bad. Obviously, they got Hartman, but they don't have a good receiving corps. Total, 449.3 for the Noles, 24th in the nation. It's pretty good. 263.5. That's 7th in the nation for the Bucks. That's really good too. Scoring. This is what's unique. Florida State's not in the top 20 in those first 3, but scoring, the Noles are 42.2. And this is something I'm going to come back around to at the very, very end. So just remember that. Buckeyes are 3rd in the nation, only giving up 9.7. Third downs, 42.1% for the Noles. That's 52nd. I'm surprised it's not higher, to be honest. 34.1 for the Buckeyes in stopping. And then 20 or more yardage plays. This is something I talk about a lot, and this is just either rushing or passing. The Noles, 34 of them this year. It's 42nd in the nation. Buckeyes have only given up 15 of them. That's really outstanding. 6th in the nation. But let's go back to that point about the Noles scoring average. 7th in the nation, 42.2, and they didn't finish in the top 20 in rushing, passing, or total offense. Why would that be? It's a combination of 2 things. They're clutch. I've got it circled on my page. And their offense, defense, and special teams play well together. When the defense comes up with a stop or a turnover, Florida State capitalizes. When the special teams does a good job, gets a good return or whatever, the offense capitalizes. When it's short field and they can put their foot on your throat, Florida State does it. That's the definition of winning football, man. You're not going to lose a lot of games when you take advantage of your opponent's mistakes. I don't care what sport it is, and in this case, college football. So in my opinion, yeah, I think Ohio State's good, but they don't have, and I'm not going to get into the offense, defense on the other sides, but their quarterback situation is nowhere as near as experienced as Florida State. The Noles have Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson, so they can at least compete against Ohio State, and I think they're just as good at the top 2 at receiver that the Bucks have. And I love Marvin Harrison Jr. and Ibuka and all that. They're all good. Florida State has a senior quarterback, a 60-year senior quarterback throwing. That matters. I like Florida State if those 2 played, and I think they should be flip-flopped in the polls. Just my opinion. No more, no less. With that, I'm going to wrap it up here. But again, Florida State is 4th in the AP poll. It's about right, but I think they should be a little higher. Let's see if they move up, if they beat Duke next week, because that's important. We're getting to the point where the committee's getting close now. They're going to start talking more and more, the real college football playoff committee, about these polls, and this is just the AP poll. It matters. Florida State wants to be 3rd. Michigan and Georgia are going to come in 1-2 when that thing comes out. It's just that's going to happen. But for now, the goal for Florida State is to get to number 3. I think they can do that. So check out the podcast tomorrow. On Monday, we're going to be doing a little bit about Duke, kind of getting an idea of who they are. We're going to talk a little bit about Carter, their big defense tackle, and just kind of what you should expect from the Blue Devils. It's a very good football team, but one Florida State should beat. So they got to play good football against them. You may have to do things a little bit differently than you might expect. But until then, thank you very much. Have a good day.